I do not consider myself prescient or vatic or pythonic. I don't consider myself to be able to read the entrails of the beast, to augur the future. I don't consider myself to be a political genius or a master of psephology. I don't. But I am very good at the obvious. And the obvious to me is something that you cannot get away from. And I went back today and I did some research, just a little bit of a cursory scan on that X or Twitter thing. And I wanted to see how many times I have been saying that Joe Biden is, in essence, senile and that he will be replaced by Gavin Newsom and Gretchen Whitmer as his VP. Let me stop right there. Let me be very clear. I don't want this. This is the last thing I want. Do I make myself clear? Dear Heavenly Father, Mother, God, Zeus, no, I don't want this. I want him to go all the way. I want there to be the additional debate in September. I want him to, in fact, I want him to cancel debates so that no one sees him. I want him to be hiding in Wilmington, watching Matlock in the afternoon, hobbled, addled, shot up with some kind of not narcoleptic, an anxiolytic, something that smooths him out, something that dulls the problems associated with sunsetting and sundowning and the like, and let him just remain handcuffed to the radiator in some root cellar in Wilmington. I want him to be there because, as I've told you before, listen to me, my friends. Listen to me right now. This is so incredible. It is 129 days until the election. 129 days until the election. And you are panicking. You don't know what to make out of this. You don't know what to make out of this. I want you to sit back and say, whoa, 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 wait. This is good. This is okay. We're going to do just fine. Relax. The ideal scenario, of course, would be Joe takes it all the way and they drag him out on a gurney and there's this complete and total rejection of him where people just don't show up, just like they did in Minnesota, where they just don't vote for him. People who say, I can't vote for Trump. Okay, don't vote. In fact, that's our message. Listen, America, don't vote for Trump. Don't, or anybody else for that matter. So that's one way of looking at it. So let's look at the situations. Let's look at the scenarios. Number one, Joe makes it, stays in. And don't you love these stories? Well, it depends upon Joe about whether he decides to stay in. Only he can decide. What? Only he can decide. So you're telling me if Joe Biden says, no, I'm not stepping down, I'm the president, I tell you what to do. Do you believe that? Do you believe Joe is going to tell these people, I tell you what to do? Do you believe that for a moment? Come on. Do you really believe Jill Biden has this power over him? No. It's a combination of a lot of things. Remember, if you give me a name and you know the name of somebody, they're not involved. The people who are involved are people whose names you've never heard of. And it's this superstructure I've told you a million times. I call it the shadow government, the people, the ruling class that make the decisions. So let's go through this. Shall we? This beautiful Saturday Eve, 78 degrees here in New York City. Today was Gay Pride Day, so congratulations. Now, let's move on. First scenario, Joe takes it through. Second scenario, Joe steps down. He's ordered to step down. He volunteers. He gives up. Whatever. What happens then? Well, it'll be done by, he will release his delegates. The party will do whatever they are told to do, and it is not run by Clinton, Obama. Absolutely not. Those are cutouts. They follow orders. They are in control of nothing. Nothing. They were placed there. They were placed there. This is, it's very hard for people to realize that politics, that elections happen fair and square. The only fair and square election that we've seen in recent history was Trump. Because for him to beat everybody, up to and including Hillary Clinton, means he really did it. And who knows what these people think? They might have thought at the time, well, let's see what happens. So the second situation is, of course, he's replaced. What happens then? How is that critical? So that's it. Those are our only two choices. Joe stays on or Joe is removed. Joe is replaced. And we can argue as to who it would be and that sort of thing, who it would be. Now, let's look at this. The good news is that in some respects, nothing changes. There are people like you and me who are going to vote for Trump come hell or high water. Period. End of discussion. Do you remember years ago there was a Missouri Senate race with a fellow named Mel Carnahan? I believe he was running for Senate, and he died. And he was running against John Ashcroft. And the governor of Missouri, I believe at the time, said, if you vote, because it was too late in the progress of the election to make any changes, the governor of Missouri said, if you vote for Mel Carnahan, who's dead, his name is on the ballot, but he's dead, I will appoint his wife. So John Ashcroft ran against a dead man. And I don't know what John Ashcroft's motto would have been. I'm John Ashcroft. At least I'm alive. I'm John Ashcroft. I'm not decomposing. I'm John Ashcroft. Whatever the version this is. Mel Carnahan won. So things happen in a very strange way sometimes. So let's go through this again. We're going to vote for Trump. There are other people who are saying, I'm going to vote for any Democrat you throw at me. Any Democrat, okay? Those people are always there. Brian Hayes says, I do pray Joe stays on, but his handler, Alice Cooper, is getting obnoxious, and his hairy sissy son, notable overnight, ? Where do they come from? Interesting. Wow. Brian, you have a way with words, my friend. Thank you so much for that. Interesting. I don't believe for a moment that Jill Biden is doing anything but just being Jill Biden. She's following orders. She has no interest in this. None. She loves this. She loves being out there, even if people are saying, Jill, what are you doing? You do know, and I'm sure you've met people, that there are folks who do not care at all why they are famous as long as they are famous. So not to get off of kilter here. You're going to vote for Trump. They're going to vote for whatever Democrat, a dog, an ashtray, a speed bump, a dart, a soap dish. If it says Democrat, they're going to do it. Thank you, Daddy-O Productions. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for that, my friend. Thank you. And by the way, your support is truly appreciated. Now, interesting things here. Below, bottom ballot, lower ballot, down ballot. The people who are Republicans are going to be absolutely catapulted to a newfound respect by virtue of the stability the integrity, the solidity, the comprehensive composition of the Republicans and Trump, who's 78, who is just looks identical. Just he's Benjamin Button. He's Dorian Gray. I don't know what he is. He's just, oh my God. His vitality, his effervescence, playing golf, running around, going these long rallies, meeting people. Have you noticed? Do you see one significant difference? If I showed you 3 speeches, maybe you might see a shade of maybe a hair hint, a tint color or some, maybe he's remarkable. So the down ballot Republicans in other races are just loving this. The Democrats, on the other hand, oh my God, their party is just, we'll get to that in a moment. Now, in the middle, listen, this is the good news. In the middle, that's the group I want. You want to talk to Trump people? Great. You want to go to a Trump rally? Fantastic. You go. I'll be over here. I want to talk to the independents, the non-committals, the no opinions, the independents, the ones who, honest to God, at the last minute, I know this is hard to imagine, but the people who say to themselves, I really don't know unless I go there. This is a behavior. This is something that is the most incredible. This is somebody who says, what the heck? Okay. And that can be fueled by a lot of reasons. Damn Republicans lying to me like that. Trump. Or Trump, how bad could he be? What do you call this? Or this? It's called a vote. There was an old expression, a friend of mine who's a doctor said in medical, they said, you know what you call the guy who comes in last in your medical school class? Doctor. Doesn't matter as long as you vote. Key, in essence, says your deeper dive into this hidden setup with Biden truly. Your deep dive into this hidden setup with Biden truly, I appreciate. Thank you for that. You have no idea. I sit my entire day, and Mrs. Ellen and I talk about this all the time. We're out talking about this constantly. Everywhere we go. We went out today to a place called Stu Leonard's. It's very famous around here. It's like a farm place. We got a bunch of great corn. And we're walking around and we're saying, you think these people are listening to the election? Do you think they're talking about the election? Daddy-O, again, thank you, my friend. We always talk about this. Do you think about this? What about this? And we're just sitting there and we're having some lunch. We're reading our phones. We're looking at the headlines. And we're trying to read the murmurations. We're looking at what we can call and glean and read and interpret from the news that's being put out by both sides. They're giving you an idea of kind of where they're going. We don't really believe it, but what are they saying? It looks, by any stretch of the imagination, that they're setting us up to remove him. Nobody is speaking up for him. Nancy Pelosi is speaking as the loyal member. She says, well, let me tell you something. I'll tell you how he did in terms of integrity. By God, Joe Biden was a man of integrity compared to that other guy. Okay, fine. What is she supposed to say? Believe it or not, I like people who stick with the script. I'm sorry. I hate a traitor. Everybody hates a rat, just like in mob talk, mob stuff. Nobody likes a rat, even though they're exposing killers. Nobody likes a rat. So I appreciate this. But let me go back to what we're saying. How they vote for this doesn't matter to me. I don't care. Too big to rig has something. Because here is the problem. You can do things a variety of different ways. And the first thing you have to do is, what is the mentality of the people who run the country? Are they likely to just steal another election? If Joe Biden wins now, let me ask you something. If Joe Biden wins now, compared to, what was his famous number? If Joe Biden wins now, compared to his 81.3 million votes in 2020, compared to Trump's 74. Now, this is popular vote. He got 306 electoral votes. Okay, fine. But 81 million votes. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think people would do if for some reason they were to say now that he received 81 million? Hang on a minute. Thank you, dear David Corey. Yes, Corey, thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Hang on a minute. Thank you so much. Do you think anybody would buy that? Hell no. No way. 2020 was different. 2020 was different. COVID. A lot of remote voting. Nobody was there. It was a different situation. We didn't really know. I mean, I was convinced since 2017. I was sounding the alarm. Again, I'm not trying to be like, I told you so, but I told you so. In any event, do you think they could do this again today? No. Do you think that the powers that be are that ghoulish, craven, corrupt criminal that they would do this again? No. No. No way. No way. Do you think they would say, we're going to rig this again? There's another thing to think about. Let's say this time they say, no, wait a minute. We have new voters. You what? We have new voters. What do you mean you have new voters? The new voters who have made up for this, the new voters, those individuals, those new voters are illegals. That would push this country over the edge. Because we've never really been able to actually appreciate the systematic and collective effect of mass swaths and hordes and cavalcades and passels and stampedes and invasions of illegals. We've seen some crime here. We've seen pictures of borders. By the way, one thing I will say to you about Fox News, Bill Melugin, the young man on the border, is superior. Thank you, Anna Cassell. Thank you so much for that. Bill Melugin is fantastic. Hats off to him. He is phenomenal. Wonderful reporter. So let me recap. If all of a sudden they said, oh, no, Biden got 20 million again. He what? He got 20 million. 20 million? 20 million more? Wait a minute, he won by 20 million? What are you talking about? Yeah, he got 20 million. How? Because of the illegals. Oh my God, that's the last thing in the world they want. Oh dear God, that is the last thing. So that's that. So they don't know what to do. Now, the group that, remember, I'm talking about these people who are saying, you know what? Okay. What happens if it's Gavin Newsom or Pete Buttigieg or Gretchen Whitmer, or they mentioned Governor Eddie Gillespie. Who? One of those names. You know how they say this? Well, inside the Beltway say that it looks like Mandrake Kittlebaum. Who? One of these names. Oh yeah, he's an up and comer. Who? There's always this name, and I'm pretty, tucked in or connected, I should say. But there's always this name of somebody. Well, these are freshman congressmen out of Roanoke. Who? Yes, Dmitry Splitkin. Who? Mandy Lifeboats. Who? Marcus Absent. Who? What? Bend over. Who? And there's these names. So that's not going to work either. Now, next category. Okay. Now listen to me carefully. And this is the most important thing I can tell you right now. This is what you got. This is what you've been waiting for. Let's say I think somebody, and I've been saying this forever, it's going to be Gavin Newsom. Why? Because I know what dementia looks like and I see it coming and I saw it. And it's not what I want, but I'm saying get ready for this. I wish President Trump had said, oh, they're going to switch him out. No, they're not. Oh, yeah, they are. No, we're not. Oh, yes, you are. So that when they do, he can say, I told you so. One of the things you want to do in politics is to accuse your opponent of doing that which you want them to do or which you suspect, because they won't do it. Because if they do, you'll say, I told you. See what happens? See? They're not going to pick a black woman. What? They're not going to pick a black woman. Is that important? Well, it is now. Why? Because Trump just said you're not going to pick a black woman. Well, what the hell difference does that make? Well, it means something now, because when you pick Gretchen Whitmer, they're going to go, see? I told you. It's tell people ahead of time what you want or don't want them to do. And do you ever have, when you're feeding your kid in a high chair or something, and you say, hey, don't you eat that. Don't you catch me seeing you eat those carrots. If you don't. And what does the kid do? Oh, you don't want me to eat the carrots, huh? Yeah. And then the kid says, this son of a gun just psyched me out. Well, that's what this is. You tell them, oh, they're not going to pick somebody. Well, they're not going to pick Kamala Harris. I know. We're not going to pick. See, I told you. And then there's this one. This is the pen light. This is the pen light where the cat, follows it. It runs into the wall. You ever see a cat? This is when they bring up Michelle Obama. What are you talking about? Biden had detached earlobes. Now he doesn't. Oh, I have undetached. Very rare. Well, what are we getting at? Either that wasn't Biden or that was Biden with earpieces. Either or, whoever that was lost. Little side story. I had a friend of mine who doesn't talk to me anymore, for reasons I don't know, who swore to me that Paul McCartney was not really the original Paul McCartney. That this Paul McCartney is not the original Paul McCartney. That the original Paul McCartney was killed or in a car accident and they switched him out. And this one had to grow a beard to cover up the plastic surgery and had to learn how to play the bass. And this one, and swore. And I said, well, I'll tell you this much. Whoever this new Paul McCartney is a lot better than the old one, because I like Wings better, and this one has been absolutely fantastic. So anyway, she got very upset with me. So the point is, whenever they do these, that might not have been Biden. Well, he lost. Biden might have been using a hearing aid, but he lost. Biden might have been using Adderall, but he lost. So it doesn't matter. Whatever they did, go do it again. Plug him up. Take somebody who is cognitively not there and put some voice in your head where all of a sudden when they talk to you, you do this. You ever seen somebody wearing an IFB for the first time? All of a sudden they say, thank you very much. We're welcoming you. Because they're hearing the director for the first time and they're not used to it. When you're in TV long enough, you know how to ignore them. You just ignore them. Or sometimes they'll leave on the mic. Yeah, give me a coffee. Jerry, you want some? And you hear this. Anyway, so whether it was Biden, whether it wasn't Biden, whether it was an imposter, a simulacrum, whether it was a stand-in, whether it was some fugazi version of this, whether it was, I don't know, but either way, I'm telling you, he lost. So let's go back to this one. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you this situation, this scenario, which is, could be, could happen, could not. I don't know. I can't figure out what these people are going to do because nothing they've ever done makes any sense. Let's say it's Gavin Newsom. Trump's going to have a field day. Trump's going to have a field day. Stop right there. This is where you should get happy. This is where you should be so thrilled of what you're about to see. It is going to be absolutely joyous. Imagine this. It goes something like this. Joe Biden says, well, what Joe is trying to say is, thank you, Jill. Dr. Jill. By the way, Jill has an EDD, not ADD. Joe has ADD. She has an EDD. She has a doctor in education, and she wrote a dissertation on community colleges or something that nobody cares about. In any event, Joe is going to come out theoretically. Ladies and gentlemen, Mephisto Faustus, beautiful name. Love it. Thank you so much. She's going to come out. He's going to come out and say, this is for a young man's game. After talking to my family and members of my staff and members of the party, I think it is best for me to realize that I may not be up to whatever, however he says that. He'll be gallant. And that's why I'm hereby withdrawing my name, releasing all of my delegates, and either I endorse, I hope you pick Gavin Newsom, or maybe you don't. Who knows? Who knows? It doesn't matter. Okay, so he's out. Stop right there. Good news or bad news? Is it good news, bad news, or does it not matter? Doesn't matter. It would be better. It might be, believe it or not, hear me out. I'm going to say something which I will only tell you. If Joe Biden continues 129 days into this, and at the very end, I mean, he is just imploding. I mean, he looks like a certain building just falling in free fall. Okay, he looks like just it may actually be unseemly. Do you hear what I'm saying? Do you hear what I'm saying? It may not look good. It may backfire. It may look like, oh, come on, President Trump. I didn't do this. He's the guy. What are you getting at me for? Oh, is this fair? You picked him. I didn't. I didn't go over and pick some old guy out of the old folks home and throw him on stage. Because the way President Trump did it the other night was masterful. He was so smart. He realized, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to say anything. I can just look at him. I don't have to frown. I don't have to look at the camera, cock an eyebrow. What the? Nothing. I can look like the gentleman is this old, wizened, confused, demented, dotard, hobbled by decrepitude and senescence. This osseous, ossified, archaic, and arcane to an extent. This fossil, this cretinous, old man, just sliding, can't pick up his feet, slides. He's like moonwalking without the moon. Horrible. And Trump so brilliantly just said, I'm not going to say it. Go ahead. In fact, the night without the audience was absolute. This is evidence there is a God. Because Brian Hayes says, I believe it is Gavin too now. But Josh Shapiro has a clean slate. Joe is from Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania isn't California yet. Maybe Shapiro is vice president. Now, that's a very good point. Quick show of hands, ladies and gentlemen, be honest with you, okay? Be honest. Josh Shapiro. You heard of Josh Shapiro? Does Josh Shapiro make any sense to you? Does Josh Shapiro? Does that name make any? Does that do anything for you? Josh Shapiro. I'm not even going to go anywhere involving the fact Shapiro is this, Israel. I'm not going to go there. But somewhere along the way, there are Democrats who are furious with what they believe they are the anti-war. Is he a plumber? You see what happens? You're Shapiro, at least James Terminello. Well, at least he's not dead. Who the hell is James? Who's Shapiro? Ben Shapiro? Who? Huh? No, I'm not saying. No, Brian, please, you're right. But most people go, who? I haven't brought up Israel. I haven't. Do you think that's going to play a role? Yes or no? They're identical. Trump has said specifically, oh, I'm all in. Bibi, I've got your back. Oh, whatever, I'm in. He's never veered. And many of the Republicans are saying, that's okay with me. This is the 800-pound gorilla. Nobody wants to talk about it. Believe me, on my list of why not to vote Democrat, Israel is down here. I think it's like number 20. We don't even have to get to Israel yet. If it matters to you in the least. No. Don't think too much. So here's what's going to happen. The Democrats, remember what I said, Democrats are going to say, great. Here's Gavin Newsom. I'm voting for Gavin Newsom. Why? I'm going to vote for, well, if this wasn't a Trump head, I'll vote for this guy. I'm not voting for Trump. Okay, fine. You got that group. They don't care. Now, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this group of people in the middle. And Trump says, well, this is what I'll have to do with, because you can do this with Gavin Newsom. Well. Look who the cat drug in. Gavin Newsom. Hey, Gav. What you doing, bud? And of course, the Trump team has Gavin Newsom saying, when he debated Ron DeSantis, when he said, well, there's one thing that we don't have in common. Neither of us will be on the ticket. Gavin, you knew that, did you? Come on, buddy. You're too smart for that. You were a smart guy. You're the governor of California. You knew about this. So you were lying then, weren't you? Come on, Gavin. You think you can outsmart a Corleone? Come on, Carlo. Who was it? Barzini? It's going to be beautiful. Here it is. There's Faye. Brilliant comedy as usual. Commentary, rather, as usual. Thank you, Faye. That means I appreciate that, my dear. So look who it is. It's Gavin Newsom. Hey, everybody. How about a big hand for Gavin? Hey, Gavin, did they pick you? Yeah. When did you get to, were you surprised? What did you think of how Joe did on the, we're not here to talk about the debate. Well, I sure as hell am. So, Gavin, listen, let me tell you something. You're catching up on this? Yeah. This is your first time for national office, isn't it? Yeah. Well, Ronald, hey, listen, give Gavin a big hand. There. Okay, Gav, what do you want to say? Wait a minute. Why don't we talk about something you know about? Crime. What do you say? Now, let's see something. And all of a sudden, here comes President Trump. He says, this, and now this is, of course, remember, RNC, once something goes viral on the internet, that's it. Here's the California crime rate. Let's look at rape, robbery, murder, this, that, domestic terrorism. Let's look at all of these things. Let's look at all of these. And they all went up precipitously. Homelessness, crime, break-ins, squatting, fentanyl. They're going to have things available. They're going to have, oh my God. They're going to have things available that you are not going to even believe. Okay? You're not going to believe what you're even hearing regarding this. Yeah, man. He's going to come up and he's going to say, you want to talk about what you're going to do? No, Gavin. Is it Gavin? Should I call you Gavin? That's a nice name. You've been around California a lot, haven't you? Oh, you're connected. There was an article I want to bring to your attention. It is this wonderful piece explaining D'Alessandro, Newsom. D'Alessandro is Nancy Pelosi's maiden name. Newsom, the Brown, Jerry Brown. This family, it's like it's the mafia, and how this thing works. You can't believe this when you see what's going on. You can't believe what you are seeing. Let me see, just 1 second. Let me see if I can bring this up for you now. Just talk amongst yourself. This is how I research things. California, Brown, D'Alessandro, Newsom, Pelosi. This is California. There is this. This is it? Oh, there it is. This is it, my friend. This is called Cal Matters. You're going to love this. I'm going to bring this to you right now. I'm giving you this. This is, mark this down. This is the best article. I'm so glad I remembered this. Let's talk a little bit about this. Gavin Newsom is the first Democrat in more than a century to succeed another Democrat as governor. This was in 2019. As the succession also makes a big generational transition. You've got Brown, Pelosi, Newsom, and Getty, the Getty family. The Getty family. That's right. Pat Brown approves the Squaw Valley concession for Newsom and Pelosi. William Newsom, his father, John Pelosi. Just read this. Oh, it's just incredible. These people are so mobbed up. Let me tell you something. I happen to be before watching something, and I love to hear this mob talk stuff. It was Sammy the Bull or Michael Franzese, or one of these guys. And they love to talk about, this guy's hit this guy. When the life. Okay, the life. You want to talk about the life? I'll tell you about the life. You have no idea what these people, they are so cold-blooded. They know. There's an old expression. In fact, a mobster said this when he was facing federal charges. His lawyer said to him, remember something. The federal government just won, world wars, and they print their own money. You're never going to be able to get by. You're never going to beat them. California is so corrupt. This family, the Getty family, J. Paul Getty, that's where it's from. Read this at your leisure. Please do this. You will astound your friends. They will say, wow. It's a quick read, very easy, has a nice little graph. So here's what we're going to do. So President Trump says, so Gavin, you got the call, right? You were in the bullpen and you just, okay, welcome aboard. Can I catch you up on anything? What are you going to do? Now, anything Gavin Newsom throws at me, I'm the president. Remember what my hat said. Remember, here's my other Trump hat. It says, The rules have changed. I've got a whole assortment of hats. I'm going to wear them from time to time to make you get into the. But I want you to focus on this. So here's the story. So, Gavin, what's your beef with me? Tell me what I've done. Gavin, do you have a super duper ultra secret clearance? No. Have you ever authorized military forces? No. Do you know what I saw and heard and learned? And I can't say anything to this day. It's nothing a young man like you, he's 56 years old, it's something a young man like you could even conceive of. And if you can't handle California, and you haven't, how do you expect to handle this country? And Gavin, when the next Rachel Levine comes in and she wants to reverse, because if you've noticed something, watch all the stuff that the Biden administration is flipping at the last minute. They're reversing their course on puberty blocking and that sort of thing. You're going to do this again, aren't you, Gavin? If somebody comes in and they say, hey, listen, we got some idea. We have an idea that says, oh, I don't know. We want to change genders in the womb, in utero, before you aborted, of course. Which you're for that abortion, aren't you? I knew it. I know. What do you think about late term, after they're born? What do you think about that, Gavin? Don't tell me. You're for it, aren't you? I knew it. So you don't mind just taking some baby flopping on a table, maybe like this. Oh, up. It's my choice. You do that, wouldn't you? Oh, yes, you would. Oh, come on now, Gavin. Come on. And of course, they will have done their research. But let me go back to what's going on, Gav. So if Rachel Levine comes in, you're just on board with that, aren't you? Aren't you? What about no bail? You're for that too, right? Restorative justice. What would you do to those animals who did those terrible things to our innocent, precious young ladies? You'd let them go, wouldn't you? Don't come. You can't fool a Corleone, Gavin. Come on, you'd let them go, wouldn't you? I know you, because you're into that California thing. Now remember, Trump's not going to win California, the land of fruits and nuts. Oh, you're into that, aren't you? Oh, you love that stuff. Do you think America wants that? And the border? Let me show you what's happening. Do you know what's happening to San Diego and La Jolla and the southern border? You're being overrun. Do you really? You look in that camera now, Gavin. You look in that camera. You tell the American people you're not serious. Tell them, admit, because you can't be serious. You want to make the United States California? No, we ain't going to let you. No, sirree. No. Joe Biden was bad enough, but you? Listen, at least with Joe Biden, he didn't know what the hell he was doing. But you do, and you want this. And you do this all on your own. And you've made all your friends promise. You promised them. You were good, Gavin. Remember when all of us couldn't go to church. We couldn't go and enjoy our expressing our religious faith as guaranteed by the First Amendment. Some people couldn't even bury their parents. We had to go to these weird plastic barriers and stickers. But what did you do? You went to the French Laundry because you're Gavin Newsom. Oh, you're special. And your kids go to private school, don't they? They don't have to worry about that. Do you, Gavin? Now you look at that camera and say, I want to make America great again. You want to make America California? I get no. That dog don't hunt, Gavin. Tell me one thing. What would you do right now? And and by the way, you want to send him back to California and you want him to be absolutely destroyed. Hey, Gavin, phone call rings. Mr. President, yeah. Bibi Netanyahu's on the phone. He needs more 2,000-pound bunker busters or whatever the hell they are. What are you going to do? Look at the camera. Don't look at me. Look at the camera. Tell him, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Come on. Tell him. What are you going to do? Say it. Order a ceasefire? Say no. You're going to say no to Bibi Net. Oh, did you hear that? You want to sign a pledge of that? I don't think so. I don't think so. What about Ukraine? Zelensky's ready to go. He's got his, let's see where he's got his villa in Miami, Cyprus, maybe. He's a billionaire. He's done. What are you going to do about that one? Huh? You ever met Putin? I have a number of times. What are you going to tell Putin? This is a nuclear power. What are you going to do? Don't look at me. Look at the camera, Gavin. Look at the camera. Tell the American people, what are you going to do with him? Kim Jong-un, what are you going to do with him? Huh? Do you know they are the, correct me if I'm wrong, North Korea, the third or the fourth, correct me, largest military in the world? North Korea. They have almost the same amount of members. And by the way, their mandatory tenure, I think it's like 10 years. Do you know that North Korea is one garrison country? All of those mountains. Do you know what's in there? Oh my God. They're nuclear. They're ready to go. How are you going to handle that, Gavin? You ever think about that? What are you going to do about Iran? What are you going to do? How Brian says, how about Xi visiting Cali? Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you, Brian. We'll get to that one. What do you do about Iran? Are they good guys or bad guys? I'll make it very Manichaean, very black and white. Good guys or bad guys? Hezbollah, good guys or bad guys? Lebanon? How about the Houthis? How about the Al-Aqsa Brigade? You know where the Bab al, oh, what the hell is the name of that? The Gateway of Tears. You know where the Red Sea, where it goes into the Suez Canal? What do you do if all of a sudden you find out, Mr. President, yeah, they've just scuttled a ship in the Straits of Hormuz? What do you do about that? Come on. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, Gav? Come on, tell us. What do you do about that? You're going to talk about gender confusion or something? What are you going to do about that? Let me ask you something, Gavin. Here's a question. Who can replace a Federal Reserve chairman? Class, who can replace a Federal Reserve chairman? Gavin? You interested, buddy? Gavin, who can replace a Federal Reserve chairman? Who? Answer, no one. No one. Is that you, Joe Biden? Joe, is that you? Joe, I would have loved that. Stop for 1 second. Imagine all of a sudden have the mic. And Joe Biden said, oh, what? I did that? Mr. Trump said, I didn't do that. Well, come on. Go ahead, Joe. This would have been, if I had been there in the middle of it, they would have said, you're blaming me for that? It would have been the talk of the internet. You think I'm kidding? You think I'm kidding? They would have gone crazy. And I would have loved to have said to my folks, do you know what they said I did? They said, I'll get this, that when President Biden was talking, that I was breaking wind or using some type of facsimile. Are you kidding me? Anyway, we could just go down the list. And you won Gavin Newsom, hamana. You know, it's easy pointing out, I learned this out. Oh, I learned this when I was running for president myself, Gav. Oh, God, did I ever. It's so easy. And Hillary, too, because Hillary was never president. I mean, she's been in the White House, but I've been to Yankee Stadium, but I can't hit a fastball, but that doesn't make any difference. And see, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about this. And you're going to do this? So what I want you to do is stop right now. Either way, don't worry about it. If Trump goes all the way through, terrific. If it's Gavin Newsom or who was it again? Josh Shapiro? You don't want to hear this. And the nominee, the replacing president is Josh Shapiro. What? Shapiro, number 42. Who? Shapiro. Shapiro? Who the hell is Shapiro? I don't know. But today, I consider myself the luckiest man. We got this one. I'm feeling great. Replace him. Go ahead. Because remember, it's the people who are the undecided, the independent. Those are the ones. Swing state. They are so crushed. Let me ask you something. Have you received calls from your friends? Have you talked about friends that you normally maybe have never talked to in terms of, how do I say this? In terms of politics. Let's say there was a friend of yours who maybe you haven't spoken with this. Somebody calls you for maybe out of the blue. And lo and behold, your friend says to you, did you see that debate? How many of you have done that? How many of you have said, where you've talked to somebody and you say, did you see that? People who you've never, who don't even know what, they may have never voted, but they said, did you see that? Because everybody saw that. And here's the best part. The clips that they took, those aren't edited clips. Those weren't pulled or culled or collated from various, that was a straight take. You could take any of his answers, any of them. Which one do you want? I never would have thought the worst one's going to be when he first starts off. Because I thought, well, the Adderall is kicking in. He's okay. And, that's what. But did you see this? Hang on a minute. Did I miss Edie's chat? Oh, dear God. I am so sorry. Edie, please forgive me. Hang on, Edie. Ta-da! That's the original Crowley. Edie says, Mr. Al, if Biden stays on, wouldn't that make it look all the more suspicious for the Democratic Party? No, because he's the nominee. He's the nominee. Suspicious? I mean, in what way? I don't know. And whatever Biden says, whatever President Trump says, I think he did a great job. I think Joe should stay on. I think it was terrific. He was terrific. What's wrong with what he did? Anything Biden says, I keep saying Biden, anything Mr. Trump says is so sarcastic and so caustic. I think it'll be fantastic. I thought he was to the point. Joe's there's an expression in Sicilian. I don't know if it's like pobrecito, like mischino. He's like a poor thing. He's like a bless his heart. He tried. So let's go through this. Either way, Joe stays on. Oh, wait until, let me tell you something. Do you know what Edie said? Because he's brain dead. There was an old joke years ago. I'm going to try to condense it. Guy gets a parrot. He's lonely. He buys a parrot. The parrot can talk. They have long conversations. He takes his parrot to the bar to show his friends. His friends think he's crazy. He says, no, you don't understand. We have all these conversations about the Yankees and jazz. And somebody says, I'll bet you $100 your parrot can't talk. He says, I'll take that bet. And pretty soon everybody in the bar wants to take the bet. So he says, okay. All right, Petey. Puts the bird on the table. Go ahead and talk. Now, the bird's been talking to him. I'm really condensing this. The bird's been talking. The bird doesn't say a word. He's got like $10,000 he's got to pay. The bird is looking at him. You know how birds kind of turn their head. He goes, what are you doing? So finally he has to write a check to his friends. He takes the bird outside. He's about to throw him against the wall. And the bird says, now, hang on a minute. Now, wait a minute. I know you're upset. I don't blame you. But look at it this way. Think what the odds are going to be next time. Did you get that one? That's not the way to tell a joke. I didn't have time to go through the whole thing. Thank you, ers. I guess that is. Let me ask you a question. When's the second debate? I think in September. Listen to me and listen good. Do you know how many people will be watching the debate next time, if CNN, whoever gets the second debate, was it ABC? ABC has it? How do you know? How do you know these things? Because you listen to that she reads. And you go to Stu Leonard's, don't you? Okay. Can you imagine what it's going to be for the second debate? Do you know there will be nobody? There will be TV. People will be on there. There, every human being on the planet. Forget moments in television history. The birth of little Ricky. The finale of MASH. The second debate. The second. Can you imagine? It will personally rejuvenate the television industry. It could save ABC. Biden has to do it just to infuse the economy. More people. It will make the Super Bowl look like, Antiques Roadshow or something. Think about this. It would be the biggest thing ever. And you would just be ready to go. And he'd come out. And if Joe were to say, good evening, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Funny thing happened to me on the way to the debate. Hey, incoming. Whoa, somebody step on a duck. Whoa, carpet frog. Hello, everybody. Somebody slipped something in my drink before. I'm telling you what. Whoo, I think I got some GBH or something. Somebody slipped me a roofie. Come on, Donnie boy. Let's go. Hit me with your best shot. Ladies and gentlemen, a man who goes by the name of Eugene Murray. Doesn't this look like a campaign picture? It's a damn good looking picture there, Gene. Biden's State of the Union and his rally on June 28th in North Carolina show Biden at his best because he is using a teleprompter, unlike the debate. Interesting. Well, what's happening, though, is what's worse, and thank you for that, Gene. I don't know what's worse for Biden, because if he has to read, it's worse. Because Biden, remember Gene? I'll call you Gene. Eugene, Mr. Murray. Remember when he said, pause? Remember when he read pause? He was a Ron Burgundy. He's a Ted Baxter. He's reading the directions. Pause. Up there. Did you ever see years ago when Tucker Carlson was doing whoever ran his teleprompter, they weren't in sync, where all of a sudden Tucker would read through something and says, and the most important thing about the Second Geneva Convention is he's waiting. It's a little slow on the, normally you have this, sometimes there's this little foot pedal you can push, and if you push it too hard, all of a sudden, it just spins back and not good. I could tell you some prompter stories. Greg Z says, almost guaranteed 2028 will be two people under 60. You know what? I don't know if that's necessarily, I don't think you have to be under 60, but, let me ask you something. Do you want somebody I want somebody who's experienced, somebody who has some kind of judgment. Do you think Gavin Newsom sitting across from Putin? Let me ask you a question. You saw Tucker Carlson and Putin, right? Very good. Tucker was owned. Putin just knew everything. Putin, do you ever notice how when Putin walks, he has one hand that moves and one is stiff, and one hand when he walks, but one hand, they said this from years in the KGB or packing a gun or whatever it was, but he has this very unique style of walking. And he looks at you, and he's practiced this a million times. Now, here is the thing. I know this may not mean anything to you, but trust me, if our friend Tucker, who did a fine job, sits there, versus if I sit there, I'm closer to being his peer. I can say stuff to Putin. He can't. I know that sounds weird to you, but if you've seen it in real life, a young person talking to a 70-year-old, say somebody who's 20, 30, talking to a 70-year-old versus somebody 70, they're peers. It's different. For you would have no problem leaning over and saying, "Very good, Mr. President," but it didn't work. You would almost be like, you're winking, and I'm like, "Come on, we're peers. It's a different world. It's completely different." You think Gavin Newsom can sit there? You know who freaked Kennedy out? Khrushchev. Khrushchev did. Assunta Madonne. Grazie mille. I hope we are speaking the correct language. Thank you very much for that. Remember when at the time JFK was high as a kite on his, remember Dr. Feelgood, and he has the Addison's disease, and Khrushchev just, who used to do that too? Castro. Castro would meet, he would have at like midnight. He'd make you wait. And he would have them late at night. So all I'm saying is that 60 is good and under, but please do me a favor. I know people don't, how do I say this? I know people do not care to this. And I know that when you're younger, you look at older people differently, but I want you to think about something. Do you want, let's say you had a very serious disease, heart condition, something really, really serious, something that was life-threatening, and you walked in, do you want a young doctor or do you want an older doctor? Now, forget, not surgery. Maybe you can say, well, surgery, there's a, no. What do you want? Do you want a doctor who says, I've done 10,000 of these? Or I'm in my third year of doing this. I'm younger. I run mini marathons, but I haven't done as many as that guy who looks like a codger. He's done 10,000 of these. He's seen every variation of this you can imagine. He's seen every little thing. What do you want? You want to go for youth? Go ahead. You want to go for youth? This is the thing which is, or an older airline pilot. Thank you for that. I have a friend of mine, dear friend of mine, who is a commercial airline pilot. And I asked him, I said, what do you think of John Travolta being a pilot? He's 747 qualified. He says, well, here's the difference between me and John Travolta. I've got more bag of tricks. I've got more tricks. I know you don't have a lot. Not that a lot of stuff goes wrong, but if it does, I've seen more. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It's a different story. So let us recap. Are you feeling better? Either way, we're looking terrific. Number one, if Biden stays on until remember, the night of the second debate, can you imagine? There will be no crime. There will be no, when they say, during the blackout, all these babies were born. Well, babies won't be born because people are going to be glued to their phones or wherever it is. Bars are going to be, put it on. I mean, you're going to be, and if Biden does anything different than the first, they're going to say he was gassed on juice, he wasn't, or he's worse, whatever. So either way, the final, Joe Biden comes out and think about this. Howie Brown, you've got to love a daughter, gifted 5 Lionel Nation memberships. Thank you, Howie. You're a gentleman. Imagine this. Biden takes it all the way. And here's what President Biden says. I keep saying it, President Trump. He says, you really want me to say something? Do you really want me to say something? Do you really want me to say something? Am I supposed to say why you should vote for me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? I mean, Major Michael says, is Joe Biden the levy? No, I think her maiden name is Cohen. I'm sorry, it's a terrible joke. No, Joe Biden, you know, Joe Biden loves to be the glam. She loves to be. Have you seen her? Listen, I'm not exactly Mr. Blackwell here, but these horrible clothes she wears with the vote and she wants to be. She wants to be everything to everybody. When she showed up at that horrible son's trial, good news for Hunter. Nobody's talking about him. So let's go back to the first one. Either way, Trump against Biden, it's a slam dunk. What are you going to do? How can the undecideds put it this way? Don't be surprised if a lot of Democrats are very angry with this, and they say, you know what? I'm either not going to vote at all, which fine, or they vote for Trump, which is less likely. But they may say, I'm not going to vote. Next, Gavin Newsom in a debate, or anyone. He'll have his research. He'll have his opposition research ready to go. They'll know every statistic, everything they've done. And they've said, Gretchen, say, let me ask you something. Gretchen, yeah, what's Putin's favorite candy? Or when you meet with President Putin, what's the one thing you don't do? If you're sitting at the table in the Kremlin. Oh, you don't, do you? Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. Xi Jinping. And by the way, Gavin, is it Gavin? Do you prefer Gavin or Gav? Okay. Gav, when you met with Xi Jinping, yeah, what did he tell you? Did you ever hear the Logan Act? Did you do any negotiating? Do you know how many? Did you talk about the counterfeit stuff that comes in every time? Did you talk about the Uyghurs? Did you talk about what did you talk about? Did you talk about? Oh, by the way, did you talk to him about about puberty blockers? Did you hear what he said about he doesn't want kids in China to be on TikTok for more than 40 minutes a day because he makes well, he kind of used a word you might not like. It affects their maleness. Did he tell you about that? Did you tell him what you do? And you know that, right? Xi Jinping. Did you tell him that? Are you going to keep Rachel Levine on? Does he know who Rachel Levine is? They don't have a Rachel Levine there. Did you know that? Do you have one of those? What do you think about that? Let me ask you something, Gavin. Stupid question. Is there a difference between a man and a woman? I know. Because during the Biden administration, that was a big deal. Is there a difference? Is there a difference? Let me ask you something, Gavin. Yeah. You married your wife? Lovely. And you had the other wife too, which we're not going to talk about. I don't blame you. Right, let's let that go. But you got a lovely family, very lovely wife. Let me ask you something. Why didn't you marry a man? I mean, there's no difference, right? Why didn't you marry a man? Because you're not what? What'd you say? What did you say? You're not what? Wait a minute, hold it. Is that homophobic? You can have so much fun. Gavin, I'm trying to help you out here. Do you know what it's like? Gavin, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about your biggest fear in the world. And California is a big state. Like I said, Ronald Reagan ran it. It takes a lot. I want you to think about your biggest fear. My biggest fear was if something happened, if I made a mistake, I could obliterate Western civilization. Can you handle that? Sparky, the DB Cooper of the evening, says, Doog evening, Lionel and Mrs. L. Sparky cannot write the word good for some particular reason. He is unable to. So he writes Doog, as in Doogie Howser. Sparky, good to see you, my friend. Always a pleasure. Always great to see you. So listen, here's my bottom line. Do you feel better about this? We're not done with this. We're not. This is very, very scary stuff. All these people acting. I love it. Oh, I declare, I had no idea he was this bad. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Oh, stop it. Joe, is that you? Oh, you're going to blame me? Oh, is that it? Oh, that's the look. He did it again. Cut the mic, for God's sakes. Joe, please. Come on, get a little heads up here. Let me go back to what I'm saying. If there had been a studio audience and Biden had done this, and let's say somebody had laughed, or let's say somebody had done something, it would have been attributed to Trump. It could have gone wrong, or it could have thrown off the horror. The fact that there was no noise made the or the horror of the event even more difficult to appreciate. All right, dear friends. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Just a second. Sparko says, no one super chatting you can write Doog. of all the words, good. Now, by the way, my friends, I've got one for you. I want you to see. Is that latest one of yours up, my darling? You're not going to believe when you go to Mrs. L's YouTube channel at Lynn's Warriors. I thought I've heard everything. I don't even want to say this subject because it might come out as because you got to be very careful. But this is her YouTube channel. And I want you to see, and by the way, it's Lynn's Warriors and on X or Twitter as well. And I want you to watch. I want you to see this. You're not going to believe this subject. About 10 minutes, but it's coming up. You're not going to believe this subject involving the word baby. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to think, no. There are horrors and there are horrors. This is the one that will make you think that through maybe some weird kind of inverse panspermia, some evil species dropped off genetic material here, which allowed for the proliferation of these monsters. You can't believe it. That's all I'm saying. So, dear friends, Major Michael, thank you so much. Sparko, thank you. You're very doog tonight. I mean that. Howie Brown, you have a lovely daughter. Assunta Madonni, thank you. Greg Z. Eugene Murray, running for office, by the way. That's a good campaign picture. IRS, I don't know what that means. ERS, I don't know, but thank you. Edie. Thank you. Edie Crowley, bless your heart. Brian Hayes, in my brain. Thank you so much. Faye, we thank you for your kindness. Mephisto Faustus, beautiful. Remember The Sins of Mephisto, great John Prine song? Daddy O Productions, we thank you. Anna Cassell, David Corey, ladies and gentlemen. Daddy O Productions again. Key in Essence. And of course, the lovely and talented and enigmatic Brian Hayes. Now, remember, subscribe always to Lionel Nation. I'm hearing from folks that sometimes they'll go back and they'll say, hey, I was unsubscribed. Harry Brown says, FOD is dude. It won't let me. FOD is dude. This it sounds like the Great Lebowski. Unbelievable. Only in this country. Maybe we can have some kind of a hearing on John Kennedy. Because how come you can't say good on YouTube? You can't say doog. In any event, my friends, don't forget Lionel Nation. Subscribe, and also subscribe to Lynn's Warriors. Click on this right now. Oops, there you forget that. Let me go back. Let me go. There we go. I am very fast at this. And please, there we go. That's it. Click that link right there and you go right to the subscription page. And one more time, this is the link to this great article about the California Mafia Gavin Newsom's keeping it all in the family and the role of the Gettys. It's a fascinating subject. And believe me, you will be one of the few people who has this at your command and control, and you will impress your friends. Commit that story to memory, especially regarding the Getty connection. All right, dear friends, have a great and a glorious and a joyous night. It was nothing but absolutely the most fun. Anna Cassell, thank you. Lionel, enjoy you. You make my day. Thank you, Anna. I hope that either way, we maintain our sanity. We realize that things are doing much better than we think, that good will triumph, and the Democrats are freaking out, and it's all because it's all their own doing. All right, dear friends, have a great, happy Saturday night. See you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern Time as we normally meet. And don't forget then, until then, I always say with this particular valedictory, this sayonara, this, not denouement, but this au revoir, this adios. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Ta-ta.